So let's talk about how the new flight sim presents itself right out of the box. It's important because first impressions count, right? Unfortunately, first impressions have been hit pretty hard because of course there have been a ton of launch problems. I spoke about those yesterday and those issues are still plaguing the game. You'll see them rear their head throughout this video. But ultimately, the most important thing I want to talk about is how, as a flight sim, Microsoft Flight Simulator has moved more towards being a game, whilst also, theoretically at least, retaining much of its depth as a sim. That means what we see when we first boot up MSFS 2024 should be quite different to what we've seen before. Now, there are some critics out there who say that both the versions of the sim are very similar to each other, that 2024 isn't enough of a change. Well, let's see how that looks, at least on the initial presentation. Outside of the launch problems then, I want to give some early impressions, and these are of course subject to change, on how the new flight sim behaves as a game as much as it does a sim. I've added chapter markers through this video, so feel free to jump back and forth as you see fit. Now, a moment ago you saw the low bandwidth message come up. I just want to show you that I do have suitable bandwidth here, although I was using a VPN to successfully get connected because for whatever reason connecting through the regular UK servers was, well, a complete mess. I couldn't even get into the sim. Using a VPN does get me in, and you can see even with this active I'm getting a pretty good connection. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, this doesn't seem to be enough, or at least Flight Sim 2024 is saying it's not enough, and this suggests to me that obviously there's some bottleneck along the way. Or else maybe it's the servers themselves. Either way, it's not my end that's a problem. Arguably then, one of the biggest changes with Flight Sim 2024 is the ability to get outside of your plane and walk around. As you can see, the level of detail available when you do this is nothing short of stunning. This is, in many cases, pretty close to a first-person game in terms of quality and detail. Now, the airfield I'm walking around here is a local one to me. It's the local airfield on the northern edges of the Yorkshire Moors. That's a national park here in the UK. Further north, just on the edges here, we can see the local nearby urbanised areas, the cities. Over to the left though, we can see the first hill ranges, the first edges of the national park itself. Now, what I'm using here is the free flight camera. You can access this at absolutely any time. When in the sim, simply pause the sim using the start button or the escape key, and you can then access the free flight camera from there. This allows you to move absolutely anywhere around Earth without any restrictions whatsoever. I did check this out back during the Tech Alpha. In fact, it's a part of one of the videos I released from that point, and it worked absolutely amazingly. The problem here though, as you can see on some of the areas on the footage on the ground, is that the textures, that some of the details are loading in very, very slowly. And again, I suspect this is due to the overload to the various different problems that we're seeing on the servers. I'm just flying over the town of Gisborough here. We've got a few 100-foot high hill and a little area, little cliffs that are known as High Cliff. And those, unfortunately, are not loading in to the quality that they should or that they could. Keep that in mind though, because we'll be heading over this way again in just a moment. Further into the Yorkshire Moors, we come to this little village here, and you can see that the textures and the details are still very, very poor. But, I did get the opportunity to see some of the wildlife around here, and, well, we come across a herd of cows. They seem to be floating over this blurred sea of green, but nonetheless, it does show that the wildlife is accounted and present for, and, yeah, they actually look pretty decent. Once they stop glitching around, I can get up close to them, and you can see the quality of these models. These models, by the way, were provided to Microsoft by Frontier Developments. Well, if not these specific models, then many of the animals were provided by Frontier. So we're going to take another look at the same area here. We're now in the airfield inside this Cessna 172, and we're going to go for a little bit of a flight. And this should give you a little bit of an idea of how things are in action. And talking of action, if you like both action and flight, then you may want to check out the sponsor of today's video, War Thunder. Play War Thunder and command over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters and ships from the 1920s to today. It's available for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox and now on mobile. Experience realistic battles with sophisticated vehicle damage where every component can be damaged or disabled, affecting performance, a feature I feel is great. Additionally, the X-ray damage view shows exactly how your enemy was taken down. With fast-paced arcade battles and an ultra-realistic simulator mode, there's something for everyone, and now you can take it anywhere with the newer mobile version. Right now, new and returning players who haven't played in 6 months can sign up using my links in the pinned comment or video description to get a massive bonus pack on PC and consoles. This includes multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of a premium account, available for a limited time only, so play War Thunder now for free using my links below. Before we move on to the other sections of the game, we're going to fly over this same area I was just in free flight, at least a little bit. I put a few cuts in here so you're not sitting around forever, but I just want you to check out the quality of the ground as we fly over a little bit slowly here. And I think that what's happening here is that because we're moving a little bit slower than we were with the free cam, it's given an opportunity for the footage to load in, for the scenery to load in. And there again, we've got a look at Highcliffe, which previously was a complete blurry mess. Now, don't get me wrong, there is still a lot of blurriness here, but yeah, it's not as bad as it was a moment ago. I'm not making excuses for Microsoft here, because anyone who's watched my channel for any length of time will know that I believe that if a game's going to be released, then it should be released in as best condition as possible. Yeah, none of this crap that we've been seeing. Unfortunately, that is how it is. So yeah, hopefully this is how things are going to look as we move over to the coming days and the coming weeks. Anyway, let's look at other sides of this new sim. So the first time I managed to get into the sim, I got this message letting me know that the previous marketplace content is not currently available, but it should be available soon. Now, it's the main menu that, in my mind, really distinguishes Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 from 2020 right up front. You can see here there's a lot of different options we have: World Photographer, Activities, Career, Landing League, Free Flight, and Marketplace. Each of these are different modes and different ways of playing the sim. Career mode specifically has quite a bit of depth to it, right up to the ability to allow you to own and run other planes, effectively setting up an entire business. This is a little bit like, I guess, Euro Truck Simulator, where you can set up a business and build somewhat of a flight empire across the globe. This also allows you to choose a whole range of different career activities. Now, the career was unfortunately something I couldn't get into due to the server issues, so we'll look at the Challenge League instead and come back to the career at a later date. The Challenge League itself is pretty interesting because these challenge options are available for a limited time. You can see we've got a whole series here, week 1 of 5. The current challenges end in 3 days, 20 hours, at which point they will progress to a different set of challenges. And we got 3 different challenges here. I've done the low altitude flight through the Pyrenees already, and you can see I'm at position 12 globally, which, considering my rather poor flight skills, really does reflect the limited number of people playing this at the moment, or maybe there's something else going on here that I'm not quite understanding. At any rate, another thing you can see here is how the planet, how the globe from the main menu is the same globe that you actually fly around. And that allows us to zoom straight in on the flight and get some very, very quick loading times. Unfortunately, this mission is dogged with the low texture resolutions, the low data load-ins throughout the entire mission. So yeah, that does spoil things a little bit. Although that said, we still are able to experience this activity in its full form. Now, what I liked about this particular activity is that it seems, to me at least, you can choose your own route, take your own route through the mountains here. There's no gates, there's no time zones, there's no particular beacons that you have to head for. You just have to reach the goal. You can see there's a timer counting on the right hand side of the screen, and we are accumulating points as we fly through the area. We seem to get a bonus for keeping a low altitude, as you can see here. We get a little bit of a bonus there. It seems there's also a lot of assists on the plane here, because despite how fast I'm turning the plane, how far and how hard I'm actually pushing it, we never seem to fully overstress the plane. Now, we got 11 sections to make it through here. I will put a quick cut in here just so you can see what happens when we reach the end. So at the end, we get awarded our total score, and we then get our position on the current leaderboard. And yeah, I suspect I'll be knocked from this position very, very rapidly. Let's see how that one goes. Okay, so here's a feature I really liked. It is the World Photographer. This allows you to travel to various different locations around the world, and there's a lot of them. Here we can see the Europe Castle Tour, which I'm going to do in a minute, America's national parks, world's most famous monuments, USA's most spectacular bridges, and it goes on and on. Each of these menus has a sub-menu, from which you can choose a variety of other locations within this category. The goal is to take a photo that meets preset criteria that the game sets for you. Now, I've already done this particular objective once, I've got 3 stars for it, but I do want to do it again. This time I want to get a slightly better photo. So we can see an overview of the area here as well as the objective on the left. And the way we go about this is that you've got to meet a certain set of criteria. So that does require flying to the objective. I've done that here. And sometimes you may need to use the menus to change the time of year and the time of day to get particular types of weather or lighting. Here it asks for sunset, so I've changed it to 9 PM, close to sunset. I need to take a photo of the castle that's down just below me, and to do that I'm going to have to fly through these mountains to try and get myself positioned, because we also need the farm fields, the crops in the background, as a part of the backdrop to this. So here we go, we've got a pretty nice setup here, I think. The castle down in the bottom right of the frame. We got the crop fields off into the distance, at the sunset as well, and additionally my plane. Now once you've taken the photo, as I've just done, the game will analyse that photo and tell you what objectives that you've actually completed from that. Again, we've managed to achieve all 3 here. So this is a part of the sim that I really do like, because it takes us to some really stunning locations and also gives us some nice, neat objectives to try and achieve. And these are not all just about flying planes, there's other variety here as well. In this particular example, which went rather poorly, as you'll see in a bit, we got to fly a hot air balloon. We need to get the photo here with the hot air balloon flying over the lake with the Church of Assumption in a close-up with Bled Castle in the background. You can see those 2 objectives are marked there. Not an easy thing to try and achieve with this, although this perhaps would have made a nice screenshot nonetheless, but we're not close enough yet. It says that the hot air balloon needs to be flying over the lake. Unfortunately, I was so busy taking in the scenery that the hot air balloon started running out of hot air. You can see us descending down to the ground. Fumbling with the controls, I finally worked out how to put a little bit of additional hot air into the balloon, and we do start gaining a bit of altitude here. Unfortunately, I didn't want to go too high, so I turned the gas off, and perhaps I turned it off a little bit too early. Not sure yet. This is actually the first time I've ever flown a hot air balloon in Flight Sim 2024. And you can see before too long, the balloon starts to collapse. There's some wonderful physics here on the balloon cloth, actually. We get to see that in action. Just look how we can see the balloon starting to close in. Do wish I'd angled the camera up a little bit here, because I would have liked to seen that collapse. But yeah, like I say, there's some pretty neat physics going on here. Look at that crash. Not only do we hit the ground, but we also get run over by a car. Other photograph objectives will have you walking around to get a photograph on foot. So yeah, a whole nice range of activities here. And talking of activities, there's also an option here for activities. Within this menu, there's a load of sub-menus: flight training, race rally, low altitude, landing challenges, Red Bull air races, national championship air races, discoveries, as well as custom content. Now, if we go into discoveries here, for example, we can find that there's a whole bunch of other activities. Each of these is unique and has a specific location. So if you enjoy flying through beautiful areas, or you fancy doing some racing and never can really find suitable locations, this is where the sim has you covered, because there's a whole load of spectacular locations already set. Now, it's true to say that Flight Sim 2020 did have some similar activities to these ones. So whilst all of this isn't entirely new to Flight Sim 2024, it does retain some of the activities that 2020 had, but also presents them in a somewhat more, efficient manner, at least when they're working. And yeah, we can see straight away that this again is an absolutely stunning area that it drops you into. So not only do you get to look at this beautiful location, but you also get to spend some time in free flight, flying around wherever you like once you're here. All in all then, as coming from the point of view of the gamer here, and I'm not looking this from the point of view as a simmer, and of course I'm very much into sims and always have been, but I am first and foremost a gamer. The big question then for many people is whether or not have Microsoft successfully blended these two very different parts of flight simming, that is the simming aspect and the gaming aspect. Well, unfortunately, I don't have an answer to that just yet, because this is early days and not everything is working just yet, and I haven't had the chance to fully test out the simulation side of things to see how the physics and all that lot holds together. But from a gamer point of view, I certainly like what I'm seeing here. I think Microsoft have certainly, they've gone in the right direction. Although that said, I still haven't had the opportunity to try out career mode in full. So yeah, keep an eye out over the coming days and the coming weeks, because there will be some more videos. And obviously, don't just rely on my opinion, do go out there and check what other people have to say about all of this as well. But yeah, for now at least, excluding the various server problems, I do like what I'm seeing. Thanks for watching this video all the way through. Do take care, and I'll catch you next time. My thanks again to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Don't miss out on your chance to play for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox or mobile using my link in the pinned comment or video description. New and returning PC and console players that haven't played for 6 months will get a massive bonus pack. But be quick, it's only available for a limited time.